Excellent. I think I think we're live, guys. All right. So good afternoon. Good morning to some of you, I guess. We are live on YouTube now. My name's Steve, and this is one of my MSP webinars. There we go. I accidentally started hearing myself. So welcome. Today is the Ninja Tech Talk, and we've got two panelists here. One of them is AJ, the other is Jason. AJ is actually with um, NinjaRMM, and I believe his title is Director of Product Management. And AJ, you care to give us a little more information about yourself and your product?
Hey there. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? Uh, yeah, I'm a ninja, as you can tell, an Indian ninja. uh, been with the company since day one. Seen it grow from a three people company to a 50 user company, or 50 employee company now. And we are selling all over the world right now using our distributors outside the US and selling directly to the MSPs within the US. So it's been a fun ride. And yeah, would love to equip you guys with all you guys need to know about Ninja and help with any questions you might have. But Jason would be your man today to guide you with everything. I'll just be a fly in the wall.
Awesome. And I'm sure we'll be able to ask AJ some of the really tough questions like how much does it cost? And does it come with any add-ons? Like, golly, what do you guys use for remote support? That's a
Oh,
joke. That's a joke.
well.
Um,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
so
well,
for those of you that are not Ninja users, I feel like personally, I feel like uh, Ninja is a great team viewer salesperson, and oh, you get Ninja too. That was like their biggest sales pitch for months. Um, However, I do believe that Ninja is a growing product. It's looking good, and it can only get better from here. Um, but I do like to tease everyone that joins one of my webinars, so don't take it personal. Now, Jason is the co-founder, and are you the CBO, Jason, at ArrowRock? What is a CBO exactly?
chief beer officer. So what's the point of having a company if you can't create weird and wacky names for yourself?
That is excellent.
So yeah, you try not to take it too seriously. So yeah, despite my American accent, I'm actually down here in Auckland, New Zealand, and it is 5 a.m. and really dark and cold. So we're in the middle of winter here. Um, AeroRock is a managed service provider. So we've been going for about 5 years, and we've been using Ninja for about 2. So we were like one of the first Ninja clients. We sort of signed on with them a little before they actually went to market. And as far as I'm aware, we're the first ones in New Zealand. I really hope so. But we've been using them for quite a while. They tell me that I'm a power user of sorts because I certainly harass their support enough to know quite a lot about their product. But they've been really fantastic. So we're hoping to show some of the stuff that we enjoy about Ninja today.
Wonderful. And again, I am Steve Taylor, and I own an MSP as well. I own Taylor IT Group. I'm here in Akron, Ohio. Um, Cuyahoga Falls, if you actually know Ohio, but um, I started doing these MSP webinars months ago, and then I decided to get real serious with it in the last couple of months. And uh, it seems like the community is really enjoying these. So later on in the webinar, I'm gonna just let everyone know how you can help make these continue to happen, because it takes a village, not just one guy. So with
Yep.
that said, Jason, talk to us, man. You are a NinjaRMM guru, right? You're an expert on the product. You know it all inside and out.
So they tell me. But first, I just wanted to go in and reiterate thank you for putting these things on. Having this sort of inner MSP support is really important because it's really important for us to trade knowledge, because we all end up sort of picking up little bits here and there, and it's sort of being able to share that information that makes a lot of this way more powerful. But yeah. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be talking about Ninja a little bit, which I mean, I'm going to assume that everyone here is a MSP, since this is an MSP podcast. So I'm gonna cut through a fair bit of the crap. So I assume that everyone here knows what RMM systems are, and basically, remote monitoring management. And the whole point of these systems is essentially to go and monitor all of our endpoints. So, right, machines that are sitting out at client sites that we're being paid to manage. So we ended up with Ninja about 2 years ago after going through about a year-long process to go and find a new RMM system. And we were looking quite hard. Part of the problem is, though, especially being an MSP, a lot of the services that we provide to our customers are SaaS services, right? We provide in bundles SaaS services that are not only like easy to use, intuitive, but also really beautiful, right? You use them, they're easy on the eyes, they look really, really well developed. And I was incredibly frustrated that almost all of the RMM tools that I kept finding looked horrible. Like, a lot of them were sort of SaaS as an afterthought. It was clearly some sort of on-premise thing that they'd bootstrapped into the cloud just because cloud was the hot new thing. And a lot of them, the UX was just terrible. So compared to these beautiful cloud systems that I was selling to customers and we were using elsewhere in our business, the technical side of our business just looked awful. And I felt embarrassed showing these screens to customers when we said these are the systems that we use to manage all of your computers. And I didn't want to look at them during the day because these are systems that we spend a lot of time in, right? It's one of the key systems for our business. So we went looking around for a system that was SaaS first, that was beautiful, intuitive, and had a lot of the automation that we were looking to drive. Because as an MSP, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we're delivering a really high quality of service while not having to really touch those endpoints much, right? Because the more that I have to touch those endpoints, because I'm only getting a fixed fee per user per month, the more labor that I have to put in those individual endpoints, the lower my margin is, because more and more of my labor cost is being taken up with monitoring and managing individual machines. So I want something that's really, really easily automatable, so that I can go in. Well, I tell people that I mostly sleep on my couch during the day. Like, I automate these systems so that I can sleep on my couch, that I can go to the cafe or do whatever else. This all just needs to work. So yeah, we managed to stumble upon Ninja, and it was a lot rougher than it is now. So it has come quite a long way in 2 years. They've been very responsive and easy to work with. I'm sure AJ will tell you, and their support team will tell you that I have just smashed the support side of this product, and they still talk to me. And they seem to be very responsive. They've also got a lot of integrations, and another key thing for us with this was that they've got APIs. So I don't know about any of you guys, but we, again, on this automation piece, being able to pull information out of these systems through our own custom tools is absolutely key to what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a quick walkthrough of Ninja. Kind of like I was saying before, I'm not big. We're not going to have any slides. We're going to do a quick walkthrough. I'm going to assume that most of you already know how a lot of these RMM tools work. So anything that's sort of like bog standard, we're just going to go like really fast over, because I don't really want to waste your time or mine. So we're going to go and take a quick look over it. I'm going to show you some things that I think are unique about Ninja, and then we're going to talk a little bit about like some best practice stuff that we're doing, and then I just want to chat with you folks and answer any questions, or see what you think. So let's see if I can get this screen share working. Ha 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 ha. All right. So we're in a nice demo environment. So this is one of AJ's demo environments. So we're not using my environment because then I would be a bad MSP. But I've gone through and forced AJ to clean this up a little bit. As you can see, so we're just looking here at the main dashboard. If you first get started with Ninja, it's got this lovely sort of get started page, which you can sort of do a whole lot of the major things. Once you've started Ninja, you're never going to look at this ever again. This is pretty much where I live, which is we can go through and see all kinds of organizations down in this column. So organization in Ninja is basically a client, or if you want to separate it out a little bit further, like you can have separate client sites that are organizations. So that's their main sort of differentiator in which you can put a lot of different end user devices into one thing. So in each one of these, we can sort of dig in. We can see all the other different devices here. So they've got a couple of things that we can do. They have devices and they have cloud monitors. So it sort of packages all this stuff up into one thing. So the way that Ninja is kind of organized is, like I was saying, we've got this idea of organizations, which tend to be sort of like clients or sites, and then it has this idea of policies. So this should be pretty familiar in the idea that policies are sort of, let's see if we can find policies are sort of all of the sort of rules and regulations and you know, settings that you have associated certain computers and groups. So one of the things that Ninja has that's really interesting is this idea of the policy hierarchies. So policies all have inheritance. So what you do is we've sort of got three different types of machines, which are servers, Macs, and Windows workstations. And each of those can be governed by policies. So, but what you can do is you can sort of stack these policies. So something we'll talk about just a little bit later is sort of the best practice for a lot of this sort of policy stuff. But in general, what you'll have is you'll have a parent policy, then you'll have a whole bunch of child policies under that. So generally, child policies are generally sort of like at the organizational level. So you have a policy for any particular organization. So say we've got this policy for DZ clean or DZ clean, as we'd say here in New Zealand. And what you do is that would be inheriting from your normal Windows workstation policy. So it would have all your bog standard settings. You'd make some customizations at the DZ level, and then that would be applied to this particular customer. So if we go in here, I hope that we can see, yep, so they've got this DZ policy applied to this particular client. So Ninja takes us down a slightly like another level in that we can sort of differentiate policies all the way down to the device level. So let's see if this this keeps going. Aha, they actually have. So if we go into one of these devices here, we can actually go and we can see it's inheriting this policy from its organization, but we can actually go and start changing things in this policy. So we can make specific changes to this endpoint that that are sort of using that policy that it's inheriting, but are only applicable to this endpoint. We'll see if that tells us that. It's going to tell us we don't have any policy overrides. We probably have to delete them or something. The other thing that we're using policies a lot for, not only settings, but we're also using them to set up conditions and scheduled actions. So conditions and scheduled actions are where a lot of the automation happens and all of your scripting goes. So conditions are sort of, think of that as the automation piece of all of this. So a condition is sort of like an if this then that statement, right? So you have Ninja look for something. So if this happens, then do that. And so we can go in, we can add conditions. You can see we've got some bog standard conditions in here. So things like high disk usage, high memory usage, what if the print spooler is down, blah, 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 blah. So we can go in and add all of these things. So we can say, select a condition. There's actually quite a good selection of conditions. So we can do everything from like CPU, disk stats, network stats, our processes up or down, our services up or down, our processes using a certain amount of resource, how long has the system been up. We can look for Windows events, we can look for critical events, we can say, is the device down, what's the smart status? And then from those, we can go and create a whole bunch of actions. And the interesting thing is, so we can go and stack a lot of actions too. So in a lot of our automation, so if we were to look at one of our policies, it would have about 20 or 30 conditions here. And they would be looking for a whole lot of things. A lot of things that we're looking at tend to be in the Windows events sort of space, because you get some really, really interesting stuff that you can see from that. And so it tends to be, like this event happened and then do that. So what this is for us is this is one, like a means of immediate remediation. So this is you can use this to build no touch remediation, in which you can say, so this thing's happened on an endpoint. I know how to fix it. And here's the script, or here's the program, or here's the whatever we need to run in order to fix it. Just do it automatically, right? So I can have this solving problems immediately, or if you're really onto it, what you can do is you can have this looking for the precursors to problems, right? You can have this looking for Windows events that don't necessarily signify a problem in and of themselves, but that signify a precursor to a problem, and you can proactively push solutions. And the great thing about this is you can do it with absolutely no touch. So, this can happen in an automated fashion. You can have it alert you that it's taken interventions. You can have it just silently do it. And that is super, super powerful. So the flip side of this, right, from conditions is scheduled actions. And scheduled actions are basically like, it's the condition without the condition, right? So it's, instead of being triggered by an event that Ninja sees, it's triggered by a time or the technicians, right? So you can go and stack actions, and there's a lot of actions that we can take. So we can say they've built in a whole bunch of sort of like bog standard ones. To be honest, I almost never use any of the Ninja actions. Almost everything that we do is either applications, running or installing applications, or running scripts. Ninja has a pretty wide variety of scripts that it can run. It can certainly do, your normal stuff, like command prompt scripts. It can do PowerShell. I think they also do Python and JavaScript and like a few other ones if you want to get out there and do something kind of interesting, probably VB. But pretty much everything we have is running either command prompt or PowerShell, and that all seems to work really well. But that gives us a lot of really, really, really fine control over the solutions that we're pushing, right? So we don't have to wait for Ninja to come and build a custom, bog standard thing that we can select out of this list. We can go and make our own really, really specific scripts that we can go and test and then deploy in an automated fashion to all of our clients. With these scheduled actions, you can sort of set it to run at a certain time. We almost never use this. So you can set it to run like a regular schedule. We have very, very few things that are running on schedules. Basically, we either have it set as run as none. Run as none basically means that you can only run it on demand. So, if you are looking at an endpoint in Ninja, You can go and choose to run that. You say, oh, this problem's happened. Maybe there's not some condition that you can easily identify to automate it yet. And so you say, okay, well, this thing's happening. We're going to go and push this remediation straight from Ninja. I'll show you a little bit of that here in a bit. The other one that we use a lot is something called one runs immediately. And the idea of this is that basically it runs on every endpoint on this policy the next time that it sees it. And we use this a lot for pushing configurations for computers that are being set up or computers that we're taking under management. Because that means the second we've installed Ninja on a machine, it's go and run all these run once immediately scripts. We don't have to worry if they're up. We don't have to say like, oh, are they going to miss a schedule? It just runs it the next time it sees it. And so we use that quite a bit. Cool. All right. So now I'm going to go ruin everything. That's all right. This is another reason why you don't use your live environment, because you go like, fiddling around with policies and scripts, you end up deleting things while you're talking. Cool. Ooh, Ninja HQ. Hey, this looks interesting. Hey, AJ, are these real computers?
Some of these are, but most of these are like QA devices, so don't worry about it.
Oh, that's right. You told me these are all the marketing computers, and you don't worry about those guys. Isn't that right?
Dude, who cares about marketing, right?
Interesting. Okay. Well.
Yeah, Ninja just sells itself.
Let's see what we can kind of trouble we can cause for Lindsay. So this is kind of the main overview dashboard that you see, for Ninja on endpoints. So you get to see a whole lot of the information you normally expect. It's generally laid out pretty well. So, I mean, this is one of the things that, like I was talking about at the beginning, compared to a lot of the other RMM software that we had been looking at, the layout is pretty good, right? So it doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out with rusty spoons. And it actually generally looks, I think it looks pretty nice. It's pretty intuitive. We can see all the sort of graphs that we'd normally see. We get a lot of information about the OS, where it is. We get serial numbers, who's logged in, what policy it's being applied to. If you're running an antivirus that's integrated with Ninja, we get some information about that. Here is where we see a whole bunch of alerts. So we'll see the spooler is running. There's some sort of alert about that. We would also see any pending or failed patches, or if we had any running actions, we would also see them down here. It also gives us what's called the activity feed, which is on the right-hand side here. Oh, look, they've kindly put everything's in New Zealand Standard Time. Oh, but we can see basically everything that Ninja is seeing going on this computer. So these are conditions that are triggered, actions that we've taken, anything like that. So up here at the top, we can see a few things. We've got, I assume that's IT glue. Yep. Team viewer, remote command line. So Ninja has recently instituted a remote command line. Let's see if we can pop that open. It's kind of nice. We can move this around and we can have remote command line access to these machines. We're not going to do anything exciting. And then it's got this lovely play button, which is where we open up our whole toolbox. So this is the button that I almost always use, that and TeamViewer. So from here, if we've got integrations plugged in, they'll pop up here, antivirus, that sort of thing. We've got our patching. We have access to our whole scheduled actions here. So if you're like me, this list goes off the screen, and I had to make these guys make it scrollable so that I can access all my scheduled actions. And then we get some of the normal, built-in Ninja tools. System restore, system reboot. We use things like reboot quite a lot. Maintenance, hardware settings, user account control, removal scripts. So basically, most of the stuff we use in here are things like antivirus, Windows Update, scheduled actions, and reboot. So we can go and dig into this a little bit. So if we go into detail, this is going to go and break out a whole lot of this information. It's also going to allow us to go and take actions on these computers. So what we can do is, when we're looking here under processor or memory, we can see a lot of the processes that are actually using these resources. And if we want to, we can kill them. I'm going to be nice to Lindsay and not kill anything, but it works very well. So this is basically using, like the end task functionality, or so this gives us a whole lot of information about sort of like memory usage, also things like disk active time. We can see what's going on all of the network adapters, including MAC addresses, IP addresses, all this sort of stuff. We can see all the ports that are open. We can see what sort of hardware is installed in the machine. And we actually use this one quite a bit, especially figuring out whether people have old and shitty laptops that have spinning disks in them, and whether we need to replace those with SSDs, because replace everything with SSDs. Just do it. All SSDs all the time. We can go and see a lot of these Windows services, and we can go and start, stop, restart them. So we can interact with them. We can also search them. So let's see here. So we can find all these. One of the really nice things about Ninja is that these search functionalities are built throughout the product. So we almost never go through, say, like the dashboard to find computers. We almost never go dashboard, organization, computer. We're always searching for this. Whether or not it's the searching the logged in user or searching the computer name, we never sort of move around in a conventional way. We can see sort of users that are logging in, event logs. This is one of the other things that we use quite a lot. We're constantly looking at these event logs. And one of the things that we're looking at is when we're seeing issues on client machines, we're going and looking at these. We're trying to find events that we can go and tie to the issues that we're seeing, because then that gives us the ability to put those into conditions in future and try and automate a lot of this, right? So whenever we're seeing problems, we're trying to look and see if there's some sort of automated remediation that we can take and do that. Because I don't know about you folks, but I am very lazy and I don't want to be fixing computers all day. I want to be sleeping. And so if I can make Ninja fix all my computers for me, that is way better for me. So again, with integrated antivirus, this gives us some information about what's going on with the antivirus. And if you've got other integrations, some of their backup integrations, they'll give you information about that as well. You can see we've got quite a few more options over here. So they've basically broken off some of the bigger ones. So settings, we basically just have like the settings for the computers, so we can go and override policies. We can see what patches are going on here. This is basically where we see the integrations, and we can see how, like, if they're actually plugged in and doing things properly. So we can see that we've got some overrides here. So in red, we can see that TeamViewer is actually has an override here, so doing something specific with this device. If you've got things like WebRoot, which is really annoying because it only polls every 15 minutes, you can use Ninja to actually turn that into real-time polling, which is fantastic. We also dig into the whole software inventory here, which is a pretty sort of standard RMM tool, including being able to silently uninstall programs if the program supports it. We don't really spend a whole lot of time in here. What this is useful for, as I'm sure a bunch of you do, is figuring out if people are, have sneakily installed something horrible. People start complaining about awful things in their computers, and you can go in and see, what kind of awful things they've actually just installed. Ninja has a whole lot of states for OS patches. So Ninja does do the OS patching. Third-party patching is not implemented yet, but I'm told it's just around the bend. And I will keep harassing AJ about that. The Windows patching is generally pretty good. We sort of schedule it. So I'll show you that here in just a second. but there are a whole bunch of different states that these sort of patches live in. And so we can see that there are some patches to be installed. They've already been approved. And so normally we can see, there are a few installed patches. Clearly this computer is pretty new. Only 6 patches have ever been installed. I don't know. We'll have to we'll have to see.
Here.
Yeah. Who's managing these systems, AJ? But you might need some professional help.
Yeah,
but yeah, so the patching, let's see here. The patching is normally governed by policy. And so you can go in and set this up. It's got a fair amount of granularity and control. We can say whether or not we want to control patch management, whether or not we just want to monitor it, or what we want to do. And we can sort of specify, all the different things that will happen. If the user's logged in, do we harass them until they reboot? If the user's not logged in, do we automatically reboot, or do we wait until a specific time? So they've got 2 options here, which is scan and update. So obviously scan is check for patches and update is apply patches that have been identified. This, as with any sort of patching, us managing this for clients is really important, because otherwise Windows goes and does its own crazy patches and starts updating people's computers at really random times. We generally push this about like once a week, and sort of have it scan in the early afternoon and apply in the late afternoon, so that they don't get too grumpy with us. So you can also set, whether or not it's going to auto approve stuff. My personal preference is to pretty much like try and approve everything. I would much rather patch and then have to roll something back that didn't work, than like rock around unpatched in today's environment. But that's just my own personal preference. Yeah, so in this we can also see, so you can see from this main dashboard here, not only do we have an overview of all the systems, but you can see we've still got the software inventory in OS patch options as well. So we can view the software inventory and OS patch status of all of our clients. And so for instance here, we can see that there's a whole bunch of pending patches, and we can apply all of these or approve all of these in one go, instead of having to go through and approve them all for specific policies. So we can see that these are going to modify these particular policies. We can just have it go and do that, so that next time it goes and is scheduled to apply patches, it's just going to install all of those. So one other thing that that's recently come out that we've really liked is there's a systray icon. So there's now a brandable systray icon that shows up in clients' notification bar, that can have your logo, it can have your name, and you can go and basically set up a whole hierarchy of either scripts that you want people to be able to run by clicking on them, sending you help requests, sending you emails, having little information about like what your actual phone number is. So we can see that we've put a phone number in here. We could also just add it as a text item. And this has actually been super useful, because way back in the day, we used to use something called Saludo. I'm not sure if any of you remember Saludo. It was sort of here and gone again. But
oh
one
my
of the
gosh,
really
Saludo was amazing, I thought. And
Yeah.
now I think all they do is like mobile device management.
Well, they got bought by
That's
a
right.
company that only does mobile devices. So they had this really amazing desktop, and they were building it into sort of an RMM system. It was a beautiful lightweight RMM system. But the really key feature from Saludo was that F12, was it? No, F8, wasn't it? Hit F8. And what it would do is it would pop up that little sort of postcard on your screen with a little screenshot, and you could write a note, and it would shoot it straight through to our support email address, which was fantastic. We had something like 80% of support tickets followed by Saludo, because it was just such an easy way to get in contact with us. And I would like to think that we've been one of the driving forces behind the sys tray icon, because I've been endlessly hassling Ninja that we want functionality that's similar to that again, because that provides such an easy touch point for us and our customers. And so it doesn't have a hotkey yet, although I'm busy trying to bootstrap one. But that gives our clients a really easy way to get in contact with us. They don't even have to open up Outlook. If Outlook or their email isn't working for some reason, it doesn't matter. They can just hit the sys tray icon, hit send us a help request, and it just works. And since we've deployed this, we've been getting quite a significant number of our help requests through this tool. Not nearly up to 80%, but we've only just started training them to do this again. Oh man, we had to when Saludo went away, we had so many people that for years would tell us they just kept hitting F8, and they're like, I hit F8 and nothing happens. All of your stuff is broken. We're like, that feature's been gone for years, buddy. I'm not sure what to tell you. So that has been really compelling for us. Let's see here. Ninja also has, I think the technical term is a buttload of integrations. So as Steve was pointing out earlier, the main one is with TeamViewer.
Has anyone here not heard of TeamViewer?
Well, we'll be interested to know that they're actually expanding out from TeamViewer. So my understanding is there's going to be a lot of Splashtop integrations as well. Apparently, some people get grumpy with TeamViewer. What's up with that, AJ?
Well, we're trying to give more options to everybody, right? I mean, again, if you can see, like in every single realm, we've given you guys multiple options. So for remote control, there's going to be Splashtop and TeamViewer. For backup, there's StorageCraft and Cloudberry. For AV, there's Weber and Viper. So we don't want you guys to be constrained to one solution in every realm. Just pick the best one you like, because we personally believe that MSPs have religions, and somebody likes this over the other. So we definitely want to bring the best of all and bring them in a single pane of glass for you. That's what Ninja stands for.
Yep. I mean, that has been really good, because I know that one of the things that they've been constantly trying to get out of their customers are the sort of integrations that we want to see, right? And so they're constantly polling their clients, trying to figure out what sort of systems we want to be integrated with Ninja, and trying to make it happen.
Totally.
Yeah. So I mean, TeamViewer Splashtop. This particular Ninja implementation has IT Glue, TeamViewer, and WebRoot. So I mean, TeamViewer Splashtop. Main two AVs are WebRoot and Viper. I mean, you can kind of use any AV software along with it, but if you want to get the sort of insight and the being able to run scans and stuff from Ninja, those are sort of the two. We personally use WebRoot, so we've moved to WebRoot from Bitdefender because WebRoot is much lighter weight. It does not work on Macs though, so we're still using Bitdefender for Mac.
So I got
does work on Mac though, but we don't have the integration today. So yeah, that's the thing. But we do. I mean, if you go to your WebRoot console, you would see the Mac agent there as well. I actually use it.
So I got to ask, guys. Ninja has the integration with a couple of AVs. What can Ninja do with the ones that it's integrated with beyond AVs on and off? Definitions are up to date.
Well, I mean, stuff like WebRoot doesn't really have definitions per se, but most of it's scanning. So it's you can either get the alerts. So you get the alerts of what sort of stuff's come through your AV engine, right, through Ninja. So it's sort of single pane of glass. And so you say, oh, okay, these threats have come through. We need to do additional scanning through Ninja, blah, blah, blah. So it's generally pretty basic. As an MSP and the power user, like it's having it through Ninja is very convenient, but I certainly wouldn't give up my my cloud console. So my antivirus console, where I can go through and I can set like really specific and rigid policies, similar to what we're doing in Ninja around like, how, it interacts with different clients, set really granularly all the settings that are going through here. You still definitely need your cloud console for that. So it's kind of nice because I'm not, unlike Ninja, I'm not always looking at, say, like my WebRoot console or my Bitdefender console. So if I can get those sort of alerts coming through Ninja, that means that I can action those faster.
And I apologize. Can you go through the list again of what backup products are integrated?
Yep. Sorry, I think we got about halfway through, and then we got sidetracked. So yep. I believe the list is TeamViewer, Splashtop, WebRoot, Viper, StorageCraft. I think they have an integration with Autotask / ConnectWise, whatever it's being called now. Obviously, IT Glue, Warranty Master. And that Repair Shopper. Is that what it's called? Shopper?
You got that right.
I always get confused when they leave out vowels. Like,
yep.
So are there any others, AJ? Am I missing something?
Well, you can also use Ninite Pro as well. I mean, it's not really integrated. Oh, you do? Okay, awesome. Yeah, so you can push out the Ninite free or Pro installer through Ninja, as well as there's another free software called Chocolatey, which is again like a Windows package creator. So that also works through Ninja. What else am I missing? Ivanti. So we use Ivanti or Lumention for third-party patching, which is going to go out early next week, I guess. Now we had some delays in the release. We're trying to do it tonight, but unfortunately, it's going to be next week. But yeah, Ivanti, which is like an enterprise-grade third-party patching tool, will be integrated, and that's going to be the foundation of our third-party patching engine. So there'll be like 100+ softwares that you can patch through Ninja using that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
And then I got to ask, what is retail pricing? I'm not asking for special deals or anything. What's the MSRP on your agent and whatever else you sell?
Yeah, so the MSRP is $3.50 per device, but it significantly goes down with the amount of devices that you go for. So, just don't get stuck on that price, because again, it will be a lot different that, what you'd be paying, because we do give you ramp ups and all kinds of discounts there. And also there's different bundles that you can create. Like you get TeamViewer, you could get like Malwarebytes. Oh, I forgot Malwarebytes now. So TeamViewer, Malwarebytes, Bitdefender, maybe even if you want a backup solution, all that. So I mean, depends upon what exactly you are trying to get in the card, and we can customize the pricing and take care of our COGS and make sure that you guys get a good deal as well.
Excellent.
And one thing to mention, we do give you a 50-channel TeamViewer license, so it's not just one or two, or it's not like a a crappy integration. It's like very, very. I mean, as you yourself said, Steve, right? We've been marketing this for a while, so I can never say enough about TeamViewer, because we have the best integration with Team in the whole industry. So we sync your users, devices, and customers from your Ninja console to your TeamViewer console. And it gets really granular in terms of managing the passwords and whatnot. So, yep, lots of fun stuff there. Totally worth trying out.
Yep. Around the SNMP monitoring, there's a whole different side of that, which I don't actually use as much. So so AJ would have to talk about that. So they've got a whole NMS monitoring tool, which does a lot of the network and activity and that sort of thing monitoring. We don't generally use that because a lot of the clients that we deal with either have some of the stuff built in on site or aren't of a size where that's pertinent. But the tools that Ninja has are pretty good, because that was sort of the company that Ninja was born out of. Isn't that right, AJ? What is it? What was the? Packet Trap?
Exactly. So it is called Packet Trap MSP. And yeah, I mean, that's one of also a great selling point of Ninja because, again, Ninja gives you, again, a single pane of glass. So we have threefold monitoring when I talk about it from a broader perspective. So there is endpoint monitoring for your Windows and Mac. There is network monitoring, which covers your routers, switches, firewalls, and we go really deep with that. So you can grab the basic CPU, memory, the network interface, traffic, and whatnot. We also support NetFlow, which shows you every packet that goes in and out of the network at any given time. And there's also SNMP traps. There's syslog. You can get alerted on any of the syslog or traps coming in based upon the keywords in the description or the OIDs. And also, we back up your Cisco and HP config and show that right in the Ninja console. So let's say somebody hacks into your router and makes a change in the config file. The moment after, you'll get notified right away. So, you can just prevent hack attacks there. So that's also one of the key features. And actually, it's funny timing because this month we are giving out 20 devices for free, 20 NMS devices for free, that is. It's a July promo. So might be a good way to get started with Ninja, just to, get a taste of what it feels like.
Yep. I just noticed I've only just discovered that I can view this chat thing, which is, super exciting. But there's a couple questions around pricing that we might want to address before we shift on, AJ. So there seem to be some questions around like the $3.50 price. Is that like $3.50 for like 50 seats? Like, is AV included in that, et cetera, et cetera?
Right. Yeah. And thanks for stopping me right there because I saw the pile of questions growing. So Bitdefender pricing, I think I will not get into the specifics on the AV pricing because I would rather talk about the bundle pricing. So $3.50 does include the AV. And I believe it also includes TeamViewer. I'm not a sales guy, unfortunately, so I can not predict the numbers here. You can just send me an email if you guys need. It's aj@ninjamsp.com, and I'll be happy to hook you up with the right sales guys. Ivanti is bundled in, so there's no extra price for that. That's a good thing about Ninja. So it's like all you can eat. Uh, SNMP support, yes. I don't even know what's ARM on, sadly enough, but SNMP support, yes, absolutely. So, and we're also going to add custom SNMP support by the end of this year, which means any device on the planet, as long as it supports SNMP, you could monitor any OID on that and treat that data as a first-class citizen inside Ninja and get alerted on that. So that's definitely there. We do have a 50 device minimum, so something to keep in mind. But then again, I mean, as I said, this $3.50 will go down, and we give you ramp ups, for a few months to make sure you are well accustomed to the tool. There's no contracts, so we don't really tie you down into a contract, and we believe in the product ourselves. So we believe you'll not, leave us. Let's see. Linux support. So, well, we don't have native Linux support, but you can monitor Linux devices using NetSNMP. So if you can just install that daemon on that, then you can definitely grab some basic information from your Linux devices. I believe that covers all the questions.
Any other quick questions before I start babbling on again?
Okay. We do plan to add Linux agent, Jared. Not right now, at least not till the end of this year. So we have a very heavy focus on a few different things for this year, and I'll be very candid about it. So we are going to ramp up our RTAS integration, our ConnectWise integration, because that's where the biggest MSPs are, or the bigger MSPs are, like the guys who have maybe 1,000 devices and upwards. So we want to focus heavily on that market. And the third thing we want to focus on is our Mac integration, because our Mac integration is definitely a little bit of a lackluster. We don't do a few things there, and Splashtop for Mac will be the first step in that direction. So, which is going to come out next week, as I said. But we don't do patching, we don't do AV for Mac, and we don't support scripting. I mean, we are going to release like 20 scripts for Mac next week, but then again, we don't let you upload your own scripts in Mac. So all that will be taken care of by the end of this year. But those are like the more prevalent roadmap features. But also then there's Bitdefender that we want to work on. And what else? There was another thing we were talking about. I think no, that sums it up for the most part.
And with scripting, does the scripting rely on scripts that I have to write, or do you have a scripting tool that helps us, idiots create scripts?
So we actually, yeah, we did not want to boil the ocean by creating a different scripting language like some of our competitors do. We just let you use your own script. So we support everything from PowerShell, VB script, JavaScript, batch, and CMD files. Uh, and for Mac, again, I mean, it'll be again, I think it's bash, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, that's what the goal is.
Yep. One of the things around that I've noticed is that there's been a really strong push sort of within the internal Ninja community and forums to help each other with scripting. And it's been kind of interesting. So that's something that Ninja is really clearly really interested in, but also kind of wants to remain a little hands off, right? Because they don't want to be responsible for all the wonky scripts that everyone comes up with. But at the same time, they want to have a place where a lot of the people that are using Ninja can sort of share and exchange scripts and comment on each other's scripts in order to help that community. So I mean, there is like if you have some knowledge around scripting and stuff, that's super helpful, and especially in this industry, like that's becoming more and more necessary. But just because you're not some sort of scripting genius doesn't mean that this is a tool that's out of reach. It's generally pretty easy to go and find some information about this sort of stuff on the internet these days, and then especially around sort of the Ninja community, where you can go and you can get feedback from other people that are sort of using these scripts and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Like, does this look good? And people will say like, hey, that's the right way to do it, or like, oh God, no, like, and get that sort of inner community feedback.
So I got to ask, what are some community sites that you use?
So we have our own community. It's actually, if you log into Ninja, you get signed on automatically to the Ninja community. It's Zendesk powered, but yeah, I mean that's where you guys can collaborate. And there's actually it's getting really active now. I mean, compared to probably a year ago when we started, Jason, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I guess the community's only been around for a year. Mm-hmm.
Right, and
So
also, I mean, sorry,
are there
Steve.
third-party communities that you use, Jason?
Most of the stuff that I use comes out of basic stuff like Stack Overflow. Or if it's not in places like the Ninja community or the tools that I normally use like Stack Overflow, that's where you start finding other interesting communities through rampant Googling and trying to figure that sort of stuff out. Having communities that are sort of like that IT owners Facebook group that you've got are really important. So I have a few other communities like that that tend to be sort of more specific to my region, where we're able to trade sort of ideas and give feedback on sort of what other people are doing. And that sort of stuff's really powerful. That's one of the things why I'm so excited about these webinars and sort of what you're doing here, Steve, is that being able to give that feedback and have that conversation within the community is really important, because that gives us all the ability to not only sort of share the knowledge that we've got, but get some sort of feedback on what we're doing. Because if we just sit in our own little bubble, it can become really difficult to tell if what we're doing, if there's a better way, is there some glaring flaw in what we're doing. And so it's getting that sort of community feedback that helps us grow and keeps us all safe.
Excellent. So let's recap everything that we've covered so far.
Sure.
Ninja comes with TeamViewer.
Yep.
you gave us a nice little overview on just kind of how you run your day-to-day operations, how you configure some of the automation sequences throughout the system. I believe you went over some patch management stuff as well. Did you go over like customer reports? Was that at the beginning?
Ninja has a few customer reports. I can show you them. We don't use them as much. One of the reasons why we plug into like this API, being I'm not sure about you folks, but we tend to like being sort of tech people. We tend to like building our own weird tech solutions for things. So hold up on a sec. So we mostly use our own sort of custom reporting, but Ninja does have built-in reports. So we can see here under configuration, we can go and create reports and schedule them. They tend to be sort of based on organizations. Let's see if we can go view a report.
You could actually go to the first tab, Jason, if you go to schedule. I'm sorry, under reports, my bad.
Okay, cool. And then we can run one.
I would say custom report one would be a good one. So if you hover over that, you can click on view.
Oh, here we go.
So this was the first ever report that Ninja created.
Cool. So this is just sort of, you know, a little breakdown of what devices you've got in Ninja, what operating systems they're running, scripts and actions that are running, devices that these have run on, how many alerts have been fired, some stats about, you know, the different things that are going on. And something I haven't talked a lot about yet is this this idea of cloud monitors. So so Ninja not only allows you to monitor endpoints, but it allows you to monitor cloud things. So whether or not that's a mail server, or whether or not that's like a website, and whether it's up, you can go and you can have Ninja sort of continually check on it at a schedule that you specify, looking for results that you specify. And so one of the things, we actually use this quite a lot, just to monitor client websites. Even if we don't manage them, it's incredibly powerful for us to be able to go to a client before they even know it and say, hey, did you know your website's down? Maybe you should talk to your hosting provider. And that just becomes one of the value add, because then they feel, because it's something that, you know, is automated on our end, and you know, requires extremely little effort, because we don't have to look at it. We just wait for an alert. But then it makes them feel like we're actually like looking out for them, right? It makes them feel a little bit more like, you know, like, oh, you know, these guys, they're constantly looking at this stuff, you know, and they're on the ball. Because with a lot of what we're doing, you know, when we're trying to make sure that these issues don't happen, we're trying to automate away all these problems. It can be really easy for clients to say, you know, well, my computers never break. Like, what am I paying you money for? You know, and so you need to have that sort of, you know, regular touch point that gives a little bit of value to that relationship, so they feel that they're actually getting something for what they're paying. Because when you go to them and say, well, you know, you're paying me so that your computers don't break, instead of sounding nice, you end up sounding like some sort of mobster. It's like, hey, that's a nice computer you've got there. It'd be a pity if something happened to it. So we want to make sure that they're happy with us. But yeah, so you can get all these. As you can see, this report keeps going on for ages. They have.
It would be really nice if, for example, that list of TeamViewer sessions, if that showed a total number of, you know, hours, minutes, whatever. So that way you can say, hey, Mr. Customer, I know you're paying me, you know, $5,000 a month, but look at all this time that I've helped your people out with, on top of all the other things that we do for you.
Yeah, how much time we've been spending on your computers.
Absolutely. And guys, I would like to chime in here from the reporting perspective to answer the question a little better, because I also saw a question come in from Robert about custom reporting. So Robert, we don't support custom reporting through the API, but there is 3 different takes that Ninja has when it comes to reporting. So one is a report that you just saw, which shows you all types of devices that you have, the number of devices, the asset summary, the alerts fired by device types and whatnot. And also all the TeamViewer sessions from, you know, which user connected to which device for how long. And at the bottom, if you scroll all the way, Jason, if you don't mind, please. So as I mentioned, we also integrate with Windows Security Center. So any AV on the planet, as long as that's registered with Security Center, will show up here. So you can see if it's on or off and if the definitions are up to date. So this is the first report that we ever created. I called it a custom report because you can actually customize the fields that you see in here. So if you actually go to the report creator, you can pick what all you want to see or which all of these categories or sections that you want to see in that report. The other type of report, yeah, actually, here you go. Beautiful. So yeah,
so we can see all the different sections
here, right? So the other type of report that we have is called our executive summary report. So Jason, if you scroll down a little bit and you will see the executive summary report with Ninja HQ. If you scroll down a little bit, yeah, here you go.
one.
Yep, beautiful view. So this is meant for obviously your customers who are not that tech savvy. So this is how you can prove value and show them a holistic view of what's going on in their network or their environment. So it shows you like different categories based upon the servers that are happy or not, the disk status, the AV status and whatnot. And if you scroll down at the bottom again, you'll see like all kinds of different categories of devices with which are protected or not, which have software installed or not, or removed as in, and all kinds of good stuff like devices most alerts, new devices added in the last week or month. So this is the second type of report that's again meant for to be customer facing. The third type of report that we support is actually not really a customer facing report. It's something called device search. So that is our on demand reporting. So I think, yeah, Jason already knows where I'm going with that. So so it's query-based reporting. So if you click on new search, Jason, I'll let you take the lead there. But basically, we have like, yeah, here you go. I'll let you explain that.
That's all right. That's all right. This was one of the next things I was going to have a chat about. Because one of the things I really love about Ninja is this really big push towards search. Sorry if things get loud. We now have torrential rain, and I have a tin roof, so this could be kind of interesting. Search for all the things. So they have an option here called search, which is different from the normal sort of search bars, in which we can go through and we can do all kinds of filtering to find different devices, and we can use this. We can also take actions on them. So as AJ was saying, what we can do is we can actually move this a little bit further. So instead of filtering devices based on their names or types or what organization they're in, we can actually create searches. Apologies, I think that we're having some sort of exciting weather event. So if I get washed away in a flood, you'll know what happens. And we can go and we can create filters based on a whole lot of different criteria, right? So we can go on activities that have been run, on disk-free space. So activities being, these activities that show up here in this little feed. How much memory capacity is, whether status, type, whether it has certain patches installed, what the operating system is, what the processor is, system inventory, total drive space. So things that you can do around this. So and things that we're doing, say right now, as we're saying, oh well, Windows 7, we're going to have to, that's going to be out of support in 2020. So let's go and look and see who has Windows 7 installed and have a chat with them about it. You can also stack these filters. We could say we want to see who has Windows 7 installed and who has less than 8 gigabytes of memory and, only has, let's see what kind of processors we have. Only has, Intel Core i5 processor. These are all i7s. So we can stack these filters. We can hit save. Oh, and of course I've built something that we don't have any filters for. Let's hit save. Cool. So we can see we've got one device here that meets those criteria that we've just set. And what we can do is we can go and we can export these things. And what we get is we get a lovely CSV file with a whole bunch of information about all of these endpoints. So we can go and use that to create our own custom reports if we want. What's going on? So, and we use that quite a lot. So, for instance, like I said, we're currently using that to pre-plan with our clients migrating out of Windows 7. So, you know, that's a few years down the track. But if their organization runs predominantly Windows 7 machines, that's something they're not going to want to do in that last year. You know, if you have to replace 30 machines in a few months or a year, they're going to be pretty grumpy about that. So this allows us to go and identify exactly what machines we need to look at and plan preemptively. It also allows you to go and basically find sort of anything that's sitting on your infrastructure. So, you know, you say, hey, we want to find all the machines with, you know, low disk space. We use this basically a lot to find certain attributes that we need to action that we might notice on one computer or another while we're looking at them specifically. But then that says, we say like, hey, I wonder what that looks like across our entire infrastructure. So you know, like, do they have low disk space? Are they coming up with you know, weird errors? Are they you know, running an older version of the operating system? Like, you know, do they have or for instance, if there's a patch that turns out to be dodgy, you know, and you want to roll it back, we can go and say, what machines have that patch installed? And we can go and look, and we can go and take some remediation on that. Or conversely, like, you know, what machines don't have a patch installed. So especially here recently with all the lovely ransomware, thanks to the NSA exploits, you know, that became a really important thing for us, where we had to go through and look at our infrastructure and say, well, was there anything that didn't patch in March? Because these patches are super important since these machines are exposed to the internet. And, you know, are there any machines that aren't patched? And, you know, create a report so that we can look into that individually and make sure that our clients are operating safely. Okie dokie. I think I actually sort of started talking about a lot of the sort of best practices stuff as I was going through things a little bit. So, you know, stuff that's really important that when you're building these systems, you need to think about definitely are things like the policy hierarchies, where you want to have a master policy or a parent policy. Let's see if we can find one here. I think we called it global workstation policy. Hey, that looks like the right one. Where you have basically all of your best practice, all of your normal sort of settings, your conditions, your scheduled actions that you want to apply across all of your clients. You're able to go and edit and change that in your parent policy. And so that any changes you make in that policy will automatically shift down to all of your child policies. So in our particular instance, in our infrastructure, all of our clients have their own child policy. So that includes any individual scripts that are running. A lot of our clients have their own child policies because they have individual programs or things that are being installed when computers are provisioned. So we use a lot of that. And so all those child policies inherit all the major tasks from the parent policy. We only do little customization changes in the child policy. And then again, if we need to, we can also do little customization changes at each device level so that we can tailor those policies perfectly for the devices that we're managing. We are looking at a lot of stuff. As I think I said before, let's see if we've got some. Let's open the global workstation policy again. A lot of stuff that we're looking at is tied to especially Windows events. Ninja has some templates that you can use that auto-populate a whole lot of events that you should be looking at depending on what you're running on your computers, whether they're servers, whether they're end user devices, the operating systems that are running. These are really useful, but I generally use these as sort of a test vehicle, right? So let's just choose one of these. All right, Windows 10 services. I use these as a test vehicle because they're filled with a whole boatload of services. And one of the problems is that if any of these get triggered, then this condition fires. But what I actually want to do is I want to use this only to tell me which of these services I actually need to be looking at for my particular infrastructure. Because what I want to do is I want to say which of these services is actually firing this condition that has a whole boatload of services in it. And then once I find out those services that are triggering it, I want to narrow that way down and build conditions around those particular services firing. Because the way that this is right now with these templates, this is really good for figuring out, like what's going wrong with your infrastructure, or like what in general, being alerted for critical services that are stopping or misfiring or whatever. But what I want to do is I want to take that information and build it into conditions that then can automatically remediate those problems. So you have to go and watch what happens here, and then build that into another condition that is only triggering off of specific services failing, and then automatically pushing the remediation. Other things that we're looking at. So, I mean, there's so many things that happen on computers. So we've got application crash events. We look at a lot of things like blue screen of death errors, or other errors that generate log files that don't show up in Event Viewer. And one of the things that we've really enjoyed doing, and has been super useful, is automating the pushing of those logs from the computers to our infrastructure. So the way that we've been doing that is, say we get a blue screen of death, we have that event roll through, it triggers a Ninja condition, and then that Ninja condition goes and triggers a whole bunch of scripts, PowerShell scripts, that go and grab those mini dumps, zip them, upload them into a free Dropbox account that has a shared folder with our internal Dropbox, and dumps those straight into our Dropbox so that we can unzip them and look at them at our leisure. Because otherwise, in order to get those mini dumps and stuff, you have to jump on that computer, you have to disrupt the user, and that's something that we want to minimize at all costs. So, so we're constantly trying to automate getting a lot of this information off of these computers so that we can disrupt that end user as little as possible. Because ultimately, if we can do remediation without the end user even knowing that we're doing anything or that anything's going wrong, that's the best possible outcome. Yeah, so we're trying really, 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 really hard not to inconvenience the client. If everything goes well, they won't even know that we were there at all. Okay. Sorry, I've just lost my little control here. I'm trying to close that screen share. Dun, 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 dun. Where'd that go? Anyways, I guess you have to stare at this Ninja screen for a little while instead of my face. As an MSP, and I'm really interested to see what other folks are saying about this. Like I said, we really want to not inconvenience people. And one of the things that's nice with Ninja and sort of the tools that are integrated with it is that we have what we call sort of like an escalating response, which is that like if we can fix things quietly, silently, using things like scripting, using things like remote command line, that is always the first option. If we need to jump on computers, we want to do so in the least invasive way possible. TeamViewer has excellent chatting. We use the chat integrations that are built into TeamViewer a lot. That is one of the primary ways that we interact with clients. If that's not working, we often call them. So, it's the idea that, if we see something going on their computer, or they email us about some sort of problem, we have a whole escalating system of contact with which we can end up having a conversation with them that has the fidelity that we need in order to get the problem solved. I don't know. So I'm really interested to hear what some of the other people here think about Ninja. Do they have any questions, concerns? If they have any questions about like, how they would do X in Ninja, or if people have thoughts about like running MSPs in general, because that's something that I'm always super interested in, seeing how other people are running their businesses and what sort of philosophies they're taking.
This was some phenomenal information, I gotta say, Jason.
Thank you. Hopefully it was useful and slightly interesting.
Can you uninstall software automatically based on a condition?
That is a good question. I don't think that we are. Let's go take a look. So that would be an action. So we can go in, we can say add condition. Let's see what you probably, I think they have install software. What you would probably have to do is you'd probably have to script it. So you'd probably have to script the uninstall. So yes, I would say that you can, but it's not as easy as the install or run application options. But that's a very good question. I would say that's a good feature to look at, AJ. Hint, hint.
Absolutely. Well, there's a way we can do that, right? So if you actually go to a device, there's a tab which shows you all installed softwares. You can check a box and uninstall from there.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, that helps to do it manually, but I think he was
Right.
looking. Isaac was asking if you can do it automatically, based on a condition, or even if we could just be alerted on it via maybe making a blacklist or simply not being on a whitelist of software of some sort.
Right, and that's a great question. So in the next release that's going to go out, there's actually a condition that's going to be added for software exists or does not exist. So if there's a software that's on the blacklist, you just enter a part of that name, and you'll be alerted right away. So yeah, that's one way to do it. And then you can also, of course, add a condition or an action for that condition. So yeah, you can totally script that if you wish.
And then I see that you guys integrate with Autotask, Repair Shopper, ConnectWise, and one that I don't think I've heard of called Computicate.
Yeah, so Computicate is a Netherlands-based, it's a European PSA. We are in early talks with them, and these guys are the ones who did all the heavy lifting with the integration. But yeah, so we do integrate with them, and we're going to take this to the next level pretty soon.
Taking it to the next level. That's a.
Yeah, because when I say that, it means ramping it up. In terms of. I know it sounded too dramatic, but it means basically making there'll be a callback, which means when you close a ticket in the PSA, it resets the alert in Ninja. You can click on the device in the PSA, it opens up the device in Ninja, things like that. So yeah, that's what I meant, like a more closely knit integration.
Thank you for sharing that contact information, Jason. Can you get that back up on the screen for just another moment?
Yep. Cool.
So we've got Jason Danner with AeroRock. Jason is the one that has been amazing enough to show us how he uses Ninja on a day-to-day basis. And then we also have AJ here, who has been helping answer some of the more technical behind-the-scenes questions on Ninja. If you guys have any questions, I'm sure that these guys are happy to chat with you. It looks like Jason's given you his Twitter handle. And I know, Jason, you're also in the IT Business Owners group.
Yep.
And IT Business Owners group is a free peer group where it's on Facebook, and I'm actually one of the admins for that group. If anyone's interested in learning more about that, feel free to contact me offline. And then AJ also has his email address here. So that way.
Yep, I've kindly given away AJ's email address. I didn't actually ask him, but
thank you.
I figured please email him. All of your proposals for moving it to the next level, or any questions about Ninja.
Now
Right.
I'm gonna share my screen here real quick,
Cool.
because I'm just really that darn curious about this Computicate, where I've just never heard of the darn thing before.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
beautiful, Steve. It's gorgeous. When I looked at it yesterday for the first time myself, because I spoke to the CEO, and he was showing me like what they've done. It looks gorgeous, very clean, very slick, uh, and I think they're trying to expand their U.S. base right now. And they're pretty prevalent in the European region, but maybe not so much here. But we'll hear more in the further conversations we have with them.
Very interesting. And I see they've even got a pricing tab. They actually give you the price, guys. They actually give you the price. That's fantastic. So $50 per user per month. I don't know if that is US dollars or mystery dollars, since I know you said they are in the Netherlands. Um, so I guess that's something worth checking out if you guys are interested in checking out a new PSA. I will also say that 22 minutes ago, the Autotask PSA, like showing you the training session on the new Autotask update that's coming out here in the next few weeks, just started. So I'm really excited to get that new update finally with Autotask. Um, Finally, uh, I need to make my little plug here. Um, if you guys like the webinar, thank you to the 11 of you that were able to fill out that poll. If there are some of you that have not filled out the poll yet, please do so. This is interesting information. If you like the webinar, become a patron. I've got this little patreon.com/Steve Taylor website, and if you want to help me to keep this kind of stuff going, with all the different costs that are associated with the webinar tool and everything else, you can donate as little as $1 a month. And think, if everyone in the community just did $1 a month, I'd be able to keep these going for a long, long time. That's my plan. I really enjoy doing these. So that's it. That's the whole. This was awesome. Please take my money. You can give me $1. Okay, that's all. I'm not asking for much. I do see that one person did not know Ninja came with TeamViewer, so you'll have to work on that more, AJ. Let's see here. Um, have you learned something today about how NinjaRMM works? I'm actually going to share these results. So, quite a few people learned a lot. Thank you very much, Jason.
Awesome.
Uh, Quite a few people said this is a better RMM tool than I expected. So, kudos to you, AJ.
Awesome.
Um, and then the one that had the most hits was, I've never tried RMM, NinjaRMM, and I'm going to check it out.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So there's 5 people that said that. So hopefully they all reach out directly to you, AJ, so that way you can get them in touch with the right person within your organization to get them a trial. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that kind of covers it. I'm not giving AJ or Jason on any contact information of you guys, so I don't want you to be afraid that they're gonna start. What's the appropriate term? Harassing. They're not gonna start. Um,
Well,
so
yep. I'm about to go
well,
on vacation for 2 weeks, so I'm not harassing anyone for a while.
there you go, man. Where are you going?
Oh, we're just going around New Zealand. So the wife has somewhat of an obsession of going to the South Island, New Zealand, in the middle of winter. So Southern Hemisphere means that South is colder. So we go to the coldest part of New Zealand at the coldest part of the year. But it should be nice. I'm looking forward to unplugging and getting away for a little bit.
I got to ask, you're from the United States, right?
Yeah, born in California, raised in Idaho.
Why did you move to New Zealand?
For a girl, so who have subsequently married. So I've been in New Zealand for about 9 years now. So I flew over here for a girl that I'd only sort of met on the internet through a mutual friend. Bought a one-way ticket down here to New Zealand, and it all worked out. I've been here ever since.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Well,
Yeah, beautiful country. If you haven't been here, you should come down. It's gorgeous.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go ahead. Are there any questions that nobody answered yet? I see Isaac's asking about Cloudberry pricing. Do you have any Cloudberry pricing?
We do actually. Again, I mean, it depends upon the bundle. So I would rather have him talk to me. So I requested him to reach out to me via email, because there's more to it. Uh, yeah. So I would rather have him, reach out directly. But it's very competitive, and it's actually a low cost offering. It's not as expensive as StorageCraft. And that is the whole reason why we started with this company, because people didn't want to pay an arm and a leg for backup. And StorageCraft is awesome, but it's definitely a tad bit expensive. So StorageCraft comes in that sweet spot where people can afford it. And
And
Ninja
then,
bundles in the storage, in the back end, so it makes it like a very easy deployment overall.
and then antivirus. I know you guys do WebRoot. How much is that ballpark?
Webroot is $1.50 per agent without Ninja, and it gets discounted down, further when you buy it with Ninja.
Because I'll just throw it in there, man. I can get it
Sure.
for $1.46 direct from WebRoot.
You get it cheaper through Ninja. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Again, I mean,
That's
I don't want to throw off Webroot by saying anything which might not be ethical,
Well,
publicly.
you
But
know,
yeah,
it's I think it's fair enough to say if they bundle Ninja the agent with the WebRoot, you guys are able to offer them a nice package.
very nice price.
And
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it sounds like they might get a better price than if they were to go direct through WebRoot.
I would say so.
If they look
Um,
at the cost of Ninja plus WebRoot and so I don't know, somehow magically determine it's cheaper that way.
yeah. Something that I'll say is when we were looking at these systems, price was not a determining factor, but Ninja has been extremely price competitive compared to the systems that we were looking at.
Okay. I will say that for a lot of the people that I run into, when they're looking at RMM tools, price is a factor. That's how tools like Atera were born.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock at Atera. I'm actually yesterday in my Zoom. So I've got a Zoom room. If you guys are interested, you guys are always welcome to check it out.
Mhm.
It's going all the time except for Thursdays at 1 until whenever the webinar's done. So I just put so I could post that to everybody instead of just AJ. Um, so that's the link to the Zoom room. Once we're done with this, that'll be open again. So I actually started a trial of Atera just to poke around at it because, as MSPs, we always like to make fun of the whole, you get what you pay for. And
Mhm.
we didn't get very far because then scammers called and we got distracted by screwing with people. Uh, but it's a pretty interface, and I would say that it's probably not perfect. It's definitely not as powerful as Ninja, but if you're going to be crazy enough to deploy 1,000 agents from the thing, you get a pretty darn good price.
Sure. Well,
So
and I mean, it's one of those things where, especially when Atera came out, we had conversations with the Ninja folks, and it's good. It's good to have this competition because it keeps them on their toes. I
oh
like to
yeah,
keep AJ nervous, right? Because that keeps him hungry, and it makes sure that he and the team are fully behind developing and pushing out new features and keeping their clients that they've got happy, because they know that however horrible RMM systems used to be, there's a whole lot of other new ones coming out and they can be pretty compelling. And so I think this competition is good, frankly.
well good. That's what I like to hear, man. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. I think we've answered all of the questions that everybody has. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the YouTube broadcast from Zoom. And again, thank you so much.